Hello, welcome to the Napanee Public Library. We're on Season 2, Episode 3 of Book Bites with Maggie. I am going to be adding in co-hosts this year, so every couple of episodes we'll have somebody that's here on staff or maybe even a customer that'll join us that will share some books that go with the theme that we are talking about. And today it's going to be romance books.
Hi.
Michaela is usually behind the screen, so she's a little nervous to talk about books and do Reader's Advisory. For those of you who have joined us for Book Bites before, you know that what we do is we're going to hold up some books. We'll share not only kind of a snippet about what the book is about, also the format that you can find it at here at the Napanee Public Library. Books that are on our shelves, obviously we can pull those if they're available and we can set them aside for you. So this is being broadcast live, so if we have any tech issues, just stay tuned. We'll hop back on and try to get those remedied. But if you want to interact with us, you can leave comments right on our page here as we're talking and say, hey, I want that book, or I read this one too, this is what I liked about that book, or if I read something else by another author, things like that, you can do so. But interact with us, and we can pull those books for you, set them aside, put your name on them, and then you can come in and pick them up. The library did just open back up to the public. We have modified hours right now, but you can come into the library, you can browse the stacks, but we still have curbside. That's not going away. So we can pull items for you, bring them out to the parking lot if you can't make it in the building, but we can also welcome you in our doors again. Our modified hours are posted all over social media and on our website. So just let us know if you need anything. And we're going to talk about romance. So are you ready? I'm going to pretend like I can see you. Woohoo!
I am going to open my phone just so if we get any comments, I'll be able to see them and we can answer your questions and whatnot. So let's take a look. But you can...
Yeah.
Get
okay,
started.
so the books that I have in front of me here is kind of a wide range. So when I say the term trope, that means like it has a traditional story arc where it's enemies to lovers, or it's frenemies, or it's long lost, double meet cute, second time whirlwind romance, things like that. There's kind of a thing with romance books where they tend to follow each other. So it feels like you've read the same storyline over and over again, and that's definitely possible. I'll try to mention those in these. I also have separated my books that I'm going to talk about in two different categories. One's going to be like an open door romance and a closed door romance. So for me, an open door romance means it has descriptive romantic scenes. So you're thinking, you're reading along, your characters go into the bedroom, or they're making out and it's descriptive. That's going to be an open door scene, open door romance. On the opposite end, you've got books that are going to be what I call a closed door romance. That means they close the door and then in the next scene, it's the next day. So you are alluded to something happening in a book, but they aren't descriptive. And people definitely can like move one way or the other in what their preferences are. Honestly, a romance is a romance. I will say that all of the ones that I have here in my stack are secular. And then in another episode of Book Bites, we're going to be talking about romances that are in the like Christian fiction genre. So please keep that in mind, that they are romances, but these would be what you call secular romances. So the first one that I have is a closed door romance. This is the first book in a series that just came out, I think last year. The third book, this is the first, the third one just came out on the 19th. These all take place in Alaska, so I know some of you guys are trying to read around the United States, read with different settings. This would be one that would probably mark off the coldest place that you could go in the United States. So they all take place in a city called Moose Springs, Alaska, and the first book has main characters and you get to know the city and all the things that are going on. So that's this one in the tourist attraction. If you're doing the Book Riot Challenge, I know some of you guys are doing that one. This one would fit into the category where there is a beloved pet that does not die in this story. So Jake is a blind border collie, and he's in this book, and he does not die. Yes, for our animal lovers. But this is going to be a great kickoff to the story. And then if you read the second and the third book, you get like updates on the characters from this one. So they're individual stories, but the characters weave together. So this is The Tourist Attraction by Sarah Morgenthaler. We have it on our new bookshelf. It has the green dot. So it's a 2-week checkout. And then we also have book number 2. And then number 3 is on order, but it's not here yet. So this one we have as a book and an ebook on Niddle. So if you have a Napanee Public Library card, you'll be able to access this one on Overdrive as well. This is an open door romance. This is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. Christina Lauren is actually 2 people. It's 2 women that write underneath the same pen name. This is the book that got me started on this author duo, and I loved it. This was a story that's witty and it's quick, and so the dialogue is spot on. It's a really, really fast read, but it is an open door romance, very descriptive scenes. So if that makes you flush, keep that in mind, that this is an open door romance. This one is a book, and we also have it as an ebook and an e-audio on Niddle. This is a story with the trope where they meet 10 years later. So they know of each other in college, and then they meet 10 years later, and they don't date, but they set each other up on, like, with blind dates with other people, and then they get together and they discuss them. So anyway, so this is a single book. It's not part of a series, but this author does write 1 to 2 books a year. So if you really like this writing, there are more books by her. Abby Jimenez is definitely an auto read for me. I love the writing style of these books. As you'll notice, all of them that I have here have this illustrated book cover. This is kind of something publishers started doing a few years ago, but my eye is drawn to them, and I'm not supposed to read a book because of the cover, but I definitely do. And this one, I was like, oh, that looks cute, you know. I need a quick romance in between some harder memoirs and biographies, nonfiction things. Romance is an easy way to escape into another storyline. And so for me, this was one of those. But the infertility and the secrets being kept between the protagonists in the friend zone made this one, I mean, I still had to think. It wasn't just an easy read by any means. But the author note in the back definitely like spotlights on how everybody's fertility and infertility journey is different. And that was just, it sent this book into a 5-star rating for me when I read this one last year. And I've read the other books that follow this one. So a main character in this one will show up in the 2nd book, in the 3rd book, and then a minor character in this one, Sloane, she'll show up and she'll have her own story in the 2nd book, and so forth. So that one, just kind of like this one, the characters intertwine, but you could read them as a single book too. So that's The Friend Zone. This book here, this is one that was recommended to me by my friend Ashley. She lives in Arizona and works in a very masculine field where she's one of the few women in her office space. So she related to this book, and she really told me over and over and over again, Maggie, you need to read this book. So I finally got around to reading it. This one was super cute. Our story, Emmy, she was just like Ashley. She works in a construction company, where she's one of the few women, and so there's lots of tension all the time. People don't understand her because she's not like all the guys. But when they get working on a building project together, her and Tate spend more time together, and then a romance happens out of that. So this is Faker by Sarah Smith. This one we only have in the book format. So if this one is one that you would like, just let us know in the comments. We can set it aside for you. My next book here, this one's just a paper copy of the cover. This is the first book in a series that I read, probably late 2019, maybe early 2020. There's now almost 4 books in the series. I think the 4th one is coming soon. This is the Bromance Book Club, and it actually is a different type of romance because it takes, I think there's 5 or 6 guys, but the main characters are all men. And it is about their book club where they read romance novels in order to
save their marriage.
Yeah, save their marriage, to to strengthen their relationships. It's just different. Like, if you read a lot of romance ones, this one is just a totally different spin, but it's called the Bromance Book Club. This one we have in several formats. So we have the book. It is currently checked out, but we can put it on hold for you. And then we have it as an ebook and an e-audio. This one is an open door romance as well. And then the last one that I wanted to share with you, this is Waiting for Tom Hanks by Carrie Winfrey, and we even have the second book, not like the movie, something like that. It has something about movies in the title. This book I picked it up because of the title. Because who's not waiting for their Tom Hanks? And this one did not disappoint. This book was kind of cute because it had lots of Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail. It's got lots of references to these rom-coms that everybody knows and loves. And so it just made for a fun story where our main character, Annie, she gets swept up into a film industry, and then just lots of these things that remind her of other movies start happening to her. So quick read. This one is Closed Door. Did I say that which was what on all of these?
Yes.
No? Okay. This one's Closed Door. Bromance is Open Door. Baker is Open Door. Friend Zone is Open Door. The Tourist Attraction, what's the second one? I can't think what the second book is called. The second one, and then the third one, Enjoy the View. Those are all Closed Door. And then Josh and Hazel is Open Door. So, again, I don't think those are real terms, but it helps me differentiate between descriptive romantic scenes and non-descriptive romantic scenes. So we definitely have both types of books in our collection. Okay, Michaela, what did you bring for this genre?
Most of my books, I wanted to do something a little different. So I have read some of Maggie's books. The Friend Zone is one of my favorites. Abby Jimenez is one of my favorite authors. But I decided to go younger, and I brought some of the teen romance, which is not just popular with teens. A lot of adults read them too. One of these I just read probably 6 months ago. So some of them I did read in high school, so my memory might not be as fresh, but they left a lasting impression, so I wanted to bring them. So the first one I have is 99 Days by Katie Katungo. I think I said that right. This is a book I read in high school. I probably have read it 3 times since then. It's not your normal, easy, back and forth high school romance. It kind of digs into the real issues that young adults have when they're in high school, when they're just learning to be in a relationship kind of thing. So the main character in this book, I don't want to give it all away, but actually ends up cheating on her boyfriend, who is one of the most popular guys in town, with someone pretty close to him. And so the story kind of goes along like her trying to move on from it, with the town hating her, and they end up working together. And it's, do they come back together? Do they stay apart and just move on? So it kind of digs into those real life issues that, not to say that every relationship someone is cheating, that's not it, but it's a common issue. So it digs into that, and it really takes you into the question of these different young adult romances. So this one is called 99 Days. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it for young adult readers, just like the rest of these. But even if you're an adult, it's still a good book to read. We did have a question. Jennifer asks, that open door and closed door description is helpful. Thank you. Can you please save that Tom Hanks books for me?
I got it. How fast are you reading, Jennifer? Do you want the second one too?
So we will put that on hold for you. We'll let you know when it's ready. You can do curbside pickup too. But yeah, I do agree. And all of these teen books are closed door romance. So they don't get into the nitty gritty, so it's nice for young adults, for people in high school. They don't get very descriptive. They are romantic, but not for the older generation. So the next book I have is one of my favorites, and it's in the top 3 most checked out teen books at the library. So a lot of people love it, not just me. I know Maggie has read
Okay,
it.
I picked up this book because I was working the circulation desk one day, and I'm not even kidding you. I had a grandma, a conservative lady, and then a teenager all come in on the exact same shift asking for this book. Like,
It's good.
it's good,
it's
but
that
like,
good.
how in the world everybody was talking about this book, like with such a variety of readers. I had to pick it up and read it myself, and I've actually read the whole series twice since
I think,
then.
okay, so this one is called The Selection. It's by Kiera Cass. There is
7.
5 main books, and I think,
Well, then there's a one that
Like
has
3
like a whole bunch of
novellas.
novellas in
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
so there's about 8 books in the series. This is the first one. I think it's been optioned for a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to it, but I think that Netflix or somebody has the rights to make a movie or a TV show. But this book is the dystopian Bachelor.
That's the
There's really-
perfect way of.
There's really
yeah.
no other way to put it. The main character in the first one is America.
Mhm.
And they live in a world kind of like the Hunger Games. So there's like different castes
Mhm.
and different levels of people. So the king, or the level 1 caste, is looking to marry, and they do this thing where they pull people from different castes and put them in the castle, and they do like dating. So it's The Bachelor, and it's all for this one guy. America is the main character, but there's really great characters who evolve throughout the books.
Mhm.
And
then in the novellas, they are the main character.
yeah,
in those
and then
stories.
they dig deeper into their stories too. So if you like The Bachelor, this is the book for you, and it's a little bit on the younger side. I think the main character starts out at 17,
Yeah,
16 or 17.
Mhm.
So perfect for high school, young adults, or adults.
Mhm.
Even if you're an adult. I just listened to this 6 months ago, and it's still good.
So this one is a book series, and we also, you just said listen, so
Yeah.
we have it as an ebook
We have
and
the
an
book.
e-audio as well.
We have the e-audio, we have the e-book, and we have the book on CD.
Okay, so if you're listening to books, does that count for our minutes for the Winter Reading Challenge?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so
Yes.
if you are trying to earn your soft pretzels or your popcorn from, what's that, Dutch Kernel, at Kappas Commons, all it takes is 500 minutes over the course of the month. We just started this on Monday, so audio counts too. So ebooks, regular books, audio books, reading blogs, magazines, newspapers, keeping track of your minutes. You can sign into the Beanstack app if you already have an account with us here through the Napanee Public Library. To sign into that, hit the Discover button, and you'll find the newest reading challenge, and you can join from home and just keep track of your minutes, and you earn prizes.
Yep.
Okay.
So again, that was The Selection. This is a series by Kiera Cass. The next book, a lot of mine are dystopian, these 3, which means they're kind of set in the future, but it's like a
Fantasy.
fantasy, there's not like magic or anything, but it's,
What they think will happen in the future?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of,
This one's after the 4th World War, when China owns the United States, and then they put a monarchy back in it. So
sometimes
this is
when
like-
you're reading them, it feels like you're kind of like back in the day, but really it's in the future, just because of how they think the world ended up.
Mhm.
If you're a fan of the 100, this is a good one. This is a good one for if you're a fan of that show. But this next book is called The Program. It's by Suzanne Young. It's book 1 of a trilogy. I think the next one is called The Epidemic, which kind of fits into the world that we're living in right now. So I haven't read this one for a while, but I wanted to pull it because it is a romance. The 2 main characters are in this kind of like,
I haven't read it.
it's kind of like an insane asylum of sorts, like an institution for young kids. And they're in there together, and they're trying to get out because the system is broken and it's not really helping. But it is very pandemic-ish related. So it would be a good one to read. It is romance, so that is always fun. But I don't have a whole lot to say because it has been a while since I read it. But it is a good one, and I think it's told from 2 different perspectives, which a lot of these books are.
Yeah.
So if you listen to them, you get the added bonus of the 2 different voices, which is nice to separate the 2 different perspectives. So we have the audiobook for this one on Overdrive. If you listen to it, it's very good. And then the last book I want to talk about is one of my all-time favorites, my favorite author. Her name is Tahira Mafi. She is married to Ransom Riggs, if you know Peculiar Children, that book. But Shatter Me is a series of 5 books, and she has some other romance that are very good that were checked out and I couldn't bring today. But this book is about kind of the same thing. There is a girl that's in an insane asylum because whenever someone touches her, it inflicts pain on them. So her skin is kind of like a weapon. If anyone touches her, if she touches anyone, it can be so bad that it can bring you close to death. So they trap her away for a very long time, and she grows up in this insane asylum, and she thinks she's crazy.
That sounds like Elsa.
Yeah.
Like kind of Frozen?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's kind of Frozen-esque, a little. But eventually, the government, which is a dystopian, it's a caste system as well, the government puts someone in her room with her for the first time. And it ends up that of all the people in the world that she can't touch, she can touch him. So he goes in there with the intent to try to use her as a weapon, and then things end up happening where they end up breaking free and going through all this whole thing together, and then they find out that they can touch each other without her getting hurt. But then they find more people that are like her, and they find out that he's somewhat like her, and they find this whole world. It is kind of like supernatural, like there's a little bit of magic in there, or superpowers. If
Is this whole series written?
Written?
Yeah, you said there's 5 books.
Yeah,
it's complete.
This series is complete.
So, like, I have this thing where I try not to read a series until like I know they're all there, and then I can read them like in tandem. And
actually,
when I don't do that, it drives me nuts. I had to wait 3 weeks to read the 3rd book on this one, and it drove me nuts. But I did get to it.
I know the last book in this series I read in a day, and it was probably thicker than this.
Wow.
I read the whole thing.
This one's 5.
No, I think the last one was 5, but I don't know if it ended on a cliffhanger or if it was the last book. Ooh. I don't quite remember.
Okay,
so
I will have to look that one up.
It might not be complete, but very, very good. This is the best one. If I can recommend any book for a young adult, it's this book.
And it's a romance.
And it's by Tahira Mafi. She is the best.
This series here, I read the entire series twice.
I've
super
read these
fast.
multiple times.
So these books that you reread, we're definitely going to have a Book Bites episode where we highlight books that we've read more than once, and we'll bring people in that are here on staff and customers to kind of share those books, because everybody likes a good book that you can read a second and a third time, where if you just needed a distraction, you can lose yourself in the pages of those. Next week when you come back for Book Bites, our 4th episode is going to be featuring short stories and recent reads. And we will have some more book recommendations for you. But as always, if any of the books that struck your fancy today, let us know. You can call us on the phone, send us an email, leave a message on this post, and we will get these books ready for you, and you can pick them up here at the library. Again, we are open. The Winter Reading Challenge is in full swing. I promise I do not wear my pajamas to work every day. This is one of our staff clothing dress-up days. So you will also see some interesting attire on Friday if you come into the library. So we are here. We're open, just with modified hours. So.
And Friday is our centennial celebration. So there is more news coming on that, but if you want to come in Friday, we promise it'll be lots and lots of fun. We have a lot of cool stuff planned to celebrate 100 years of service at NPL. Another thing I wanted to add, Carol asked if we could put a list of these books, and we will leave a comment with all the books that Maggie reviewed, and I'll put the ones that I reviewed. And we have a special little tiny baby viewer in the back who is laughing and making jokes at us.
Give me a future reader.
I don't think she's read any romance though.
No.
Hi.
This is Kinsley.
Say hi.
This is our littlest library lover, so she wanted to say hi.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time here on Book Bites with Maggie.